Hi, you're listening to the Shift is Strong podcast. My name is Frankie, and today I'm going to answer a question for you. The question is, what are the biggest barriers to weight loss and how to overcome them? So today I'm answering this question with using my experience with personal training, coaching clients and helping them to achieve the goal of weight loss. So I've been training mostly women now for over 4 years. So with that experience, I can see what does work, what doesn't work. And obviously over the years, I have tweaked my coaching methods to help women achieve their goals if their goal is weight loss. And drawing on the experience that I have with previous clients. And one of the first things I think is really important to say is that obviously you're coming here today to hear about weight loss, but for me, weight loss is a very positive byproduct of actually just taking the time to look after yourself and making yourself the center of your attention and your priority, thinking about your health. And when I start working with somebody new, I really make sure I emphasize that we will be working on weight loss. However, I like them to have a deeper goal that goes beyond the simple, the way I want to look, and more into what I want my body to be capable of doing. So if you're here listening to this and thinking about weight loss, try and have a think about what you want your body to be capable of. And that's one step towards helping you reach your goal. So I've got 5 things, barriers I thought about today to share with you. Number 1, one of the biggest barriers I find for people losing weight is buying into quick fixes. So the fitness industry just drives me absolutely mad because there is so much about marketing products that will bring you a quick fix. You're not going to have to put in much effort. You're going to lose weight quickly over a small period of time. Brilliant. That's what everyone wants to hear. Of course, we don't want to put in all the effort. However, this means you're not playing the long game. Some of the quick fixes, to give you some examples, I actually had looked up what kind of is going around these days. Obviously, there's the Atkins diet, there is the keto diet, there is the grapefruit diet. There was one I found called the Master Cleanse, which Beyonce used, and it's a liquid-only diet. You mix lemon juice, maple syrup, cayenne pepper, and I think water, and you only drink that, and you can lose a lot of weight in 2 weeks. It sounds horrendous. And there's other things I see as well, like coaches selling shredded abs in 4 weeks. I even found a 4-week Brazilian butt lift challenge. I mean, it's dreamy. Yeah, great. I'm going to have massive glutes in 4 weeks by doing whatever this person's told me to do. But is it a bit too good to be true? I would have to say yes. If you're putting yourself on a highly restrictive diet, taking out key parts of your key macronutrients, micronutrients, then your body's going to go into some kind of imbalance. So often what happens if you do go onto one of these fad diets, you will quickly lose weight because, of course, you're taking away a lot of the calories. So your body is going to respond with weight loss. However, you can't sustain that forever. You can't live off grapefruits forever. And at some point, your body's going to ask you to go back into a balance, and it will find ways. And you'll perhaps eat normally again and suddenly put all that weight back on and more. So not only is that a barrier to weight loss, it's a open gate to weight gain. And just believing that you can put little effort into something that's so important, your body's really important. You should be taking care of it, not putting it into ultra restrictive mode on a regular basis. Eventually that's going to wreak havoc with your hormones and create a lot of imbalance. And what we're looking for is balance, and that's what's going to work in the long term. So the moral of that story is, if it seems too good to be true, it's probably a lie. And if you decide to be in it for the long game, then you will have much better results with your weight loss journey. Okay. Number 2. Okay, so this one, I think a lot of people do this, probably without realizing. And I think partly due to marketing, again, maybe marketing for everything, emotional eating and emotional drinking, so alcoholic beverages mostly. This is a coping mechanism to deal with stress and anxiety. So you may recognize yourself in this, you may not. But if you feel like you use food and alcohol as a way to relax after like a hard day at work or hard week at work or whatever's going on in your life, it's stressful, and you're like, right, I need this, I deserve this piece of cake, or I deserve this bottle of wine. Most likely you're actually using the food or drink as something to escape and a way not to deal with the anxiety and stress that you're actually experiencing. So this is something which you can overcome entirely. You may experience it at one point in your life and then you may overcome it. It may be something that you've never experienced, or you may be unaware of it. So the first step to overcoming that one is just recognizing it and be like, oh, actually, yeah, that is something I do. And then trying to link that to stress and anxiety and working out, okay, the source of my stress and anxiety is here, and perhaps I need to work on that. So perhaps think about getting some kind of therapy or counseling. Or if you don't think it goes that deep, perhaps some nutrition coaching, someone who might help to train you in mindful eating and just having more of an awareness around your eating and drinking habits. And I think we don't need to. Often people think that therapy is for people that are weak, but it's actually a way of facing the difficulties that you're experiencing. And it's really normal and actually can help you to become a lot more empowered and really be a big breakthrough for your weight loss journey as well. Because if you're dealing with stress and anxiety, then you're also throwing your hormones out of balance and creating all sorts of difficulties. So your body really just needs you to focus sometimes on your mental health, and that can be one of the things that helps you move forward with your weight loss journey and with many other things in life. So don't hesitate to get help if you need it. Hi, you're listening to the Shift is Strong podcast by FEB Coaching. My aim is to give women the truth about health and fitness. So in the podcast, I will be using science-backed information and also mixing that with my philosophy and values about training, which I've developed through my personal experience as a personal trainer and training myself. So please bear in mind that science does evolve and opinions do evolve over time. So I'm trying to give you the most up-to-date information and my view at the current time. If you find this content useful, please help spread the word by sharing it with a friend, liking and following the podcast. That would be really, really great. And if you want more information about how to train, please go and look on my website. It's www.feb.com. You also have my Instagram, so it's at feb_coaching. So for more tips and advice, you can find details about the website and Instagram in the podcast description. Thank you, and back to the podcast. Okay, number 3, wanting it to be easy. So this really links to number 1, where I talked about quick fixes, the short game. Okay, often the quick fix is something that's going to feel easier to us, but you do have to accept that it's going to be difficult. I think nowadays we live in a society where we move towards comfort and easy because everything is offered to us in an easy way. However, this is a huge mistake because it means that you just become increasingly lazy because you're like, oh, that's too difficult. So more and more things will become too difficult until the day where actually your body's incapable of doing anything, really. Like getting up off the floor will feel hard. Okay, maybe once you get to age 90, getting off the floor should be hard, but until then, like it should be relatively easy. You can't just blame your age. It means that you're not doing enough difficult things. And so I actually recently read a book called The Road Less Traveled by Scott Peck. He's an American psychiatrist. And the first line of this book is, life is difficult. And I think it's really powerful when you are on a weight loss journey or making health the center of your life. to remember that, because there's days where I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym. Like, I want to stay in bed. Why am I doing this? And I'm like, life is difficult. It's supposed to be difficult. Okay, move towards the difficult. And it keeps going. So in those moments where you just want it to be easy, just don't give in. Don't give in to listening to your mind, which is trying to stop you from using that energy. You can definitely push through it. There are occasions where you may need to rest, but in general, it's going to be difficult. And once you accept that, then your journey will become a lot easier, because you're just not fighting it anymore. Number 4, we're going to talk about priorities. So this is something I really, really see, because a lot of people will think that they don't have time to do something for their health. And you will have to make sacrifices. Often it's in terms of making your health a priority. So lots of people may have lots going on in their life, which is very common for a lot of people I work with. They have a full-time job, they have young kids, they've got a household to look after, and they're just trying to strike a balance. However, people are capable of making time if they decide that the priority is their health. Like, at the end of the day, if you're not looking after your health, you can't look after anyone else. And so if you do have a family, like, you've got to think, okay, if I make myself fit and healthy and I take the time over it, then it's going to be beneficial to everyone, because I'm going to have energy. They're going to feel better because they can see that I've got the energy, and I feel great about myself. So often we think by giving everything else a priority, like job, kids, everything that goes around that, we're doing the right thing. And often as women, I think we can be drawn into not taking the time for ourselves, and thinking everyone else is more important, but it's not the case. So I actually had a little think about the people I work with that have really succeeded on their weight loss journeys, what they do, to give you a few ideas. These might be really obvious things to you, it might not. But a lot of women I work with that succeed in their weight loss, they actually ask for help. Very simple, but you will need help, perhaps from a partner or children if they're a little bit older, with household tasks and that kind of thing. Yeah, that's normal to need help, and very healthy to ask for it, but it's not always easy to do. So maybe work on that if that's something that you struggle with. And that will help you to find time for yourself and for your exercise. The other thing women that succeed do is sometimes they bring their kids to the gym. Actually, that's quite common. So obviously, when you have young kids, it's very hard. If they're like, bringing them to the gym is not really going to be an option. So that's where you need to ask your husband to look after them, or daycare. But other women actually do, like, whose kids are a little bit older, they do bring them onto the gym, and sometimes they'll just sit and watch, or maybe they might get a little bit involved, or they'll like do some coloring, or just wait for mum to be done training. And I love this when mums bring their kids to the gym, because, like, what great example are you showing to your child? Like, okay, I'm taking care of myself, and I'm showing you this example of putting myself at the center and making sure I take time for me and building strong muscles. And it's a really great thing. I love seeing that. The other thing I think that women who succeed do is they can be career driven and work really hard, but they also strike a line between what is important in terms of their job and what is important in terms of their health. And so they know that the job is a job, and that they need to not let that get in the way of their exercise routine or their nutrition, and not let the stress be too present in their lives, because at the end of the day, a job is a job. You can be replaced, and however, your body is your body and you can't replace it. You might be able to get like some bits of it replaced, but I'm not going to advise that if you can avoid it. So the real important thing with that is sit down and think about, okay, where can I make time? Where can I ask for help? Maybe I could bring the kids with me, or maybe I could buy some kettlebells and do some home workouts whilst the kids are playing. And yeah, think about that. That's one of the things I actually work on with women when I first start with them, like what time can we find? Like what time can we maximize on to make sure they're getting in the exercise, even if it's just steps. Like it doesn't have to be 3 hours in the gym per day. That's going to be like very, very difficult to achieve. But there are changes often that we can make that can make that bit of difference and help you on your weight loss journey. Okay, number 5, I'm going to talk about fear. I do hear a lot of people, particularly women, who are scared. So fear can be fear of several things. It can be fear of being judged for wanting to lose weight, because other people are going to see that you're, maybe not eating the same things, drinking a bit less, and they may, like, you might think they might be supportive, but often you may receive criticism for that. But this is only because they don't know how to respond to what you're doing, because you're doing something which is really good for you, and perhaps that they wish that they had they were brave enough to do that as well. So it's easier for them to criticize than to support you sometimes. But it doesn't mean they don't care, and it doesn't mean you should stop. But that's a real thing, and definitely I've experienced that before. People tell me I'm boring all the time, but I don't find my life boring personally. I find it really fun, and drinking less doesn't make me any less of an interesting person. Definitely, I would say it's more the opposite. And I feel lots better for eating and drinking in the way I do. So it's entirely personal, and you shouldn't give in to criticism from people that aren't supporting you, in my opinion. The other kind of fear you may have, and lots of women are fearful of going into the gym and feeling intimidated. Firstly, because perhaps they don't really know how to use all of the equipment, because they've never really set foot in a gym. Also, potentially because they think people might be looking at them, judging them. So in terms of, if you don't know how to use the equipment, like, there's personal trainers in virtually all gyms anywhere. And even the fact of being in a gym, that's great. There's loads of ways you can work out. And if you don't really know what to do, you can use guided machines. If you've got a personal trainer, then they can teach you correct form and technique for using free weights. And most people in the gym are just trying to, take care of themselves. If you feel like you're being looked at, like, I think it's mostly in our heads. A lot of people are just like focused on their muscles and looking at themselves in the mirror, taking photos for Instagram. So they're not really worried about what you're doing. If you do get mansplainers, like trying to come and tell you you're doing something wrong, you just have to be ready to tell them that you know what you're doing, and you don't need their advice. You can be polite if you are able to. I'm personally not able to be polite at all to mansplainers. And therefore, men don't approach me ever in the gym to tell me what I should or should not be doing. It's great. Okay, so fear of being in the gym. So that's completely normal, but you will get used to it if you keep going back, and you might actually find it's quite nice. If you really can't get used to it, there is so easy to buy kettlebells and dumbbells and do home workouts, or even use body weight. Like, there's nothing stopping you, really, if you really, really, really decide you really, really, really want to lose weight. There's always a way around it. So don't be stopped by that. Another fear, and this is something, given that I work with people mostly over 35, do struggle with, it can be joint pain. And a lot of people with aging experience joint pain. So often, probably like arthritis, they may know they have arthritis, they may not, but they're feeling like with age, they're just getting a little bit more stiff. And so they're scared to lift weights and do resistance training, which are one of the most beneficial things for weight loss. And so I recommend highly to anyone trying to lose weight. So the thing is, there's actually lots of research into resistance training and how it relieves pain, and because it improves the stability of your joints through muscle strengthening. So if you are worried about lifting because you have joint pain, I would definitely advise you to hire a personal trainer, at least for a couple of sessions, to check form and make sure if there are adaptations that need to be made, you can do them. What's really important is to progressively overload. And I would do that with anyone, not just anyone with joint pain, but really progressively overload. So starting with lower weights and building up slowly. And you will definitely feel the benefits, less pain. And of course, there are some people with very specific pain. And again, always hire a qualified professional, personal trainer, and talk to them about the best movements for you. But don't shy away from resistance training and think that you can't lose weight because you have joint pain, because often you can find ways around it. So yeah, in terms of fear, there are lots of things to be scared of. However, it will be scary moving forward on a journey of weight loss. You will have to make changes and sacrifices, and things will be intimidating and scary for you. But that's something that I've worked on in the last couple of years. Like, moving towards fear is something which always helps me to feel more confident. So that's why I say weight loss is just a byproduct of looking after your health, because often you will have to face your fears, and you will achieve weight loss, but you will achieve more than that if you go in it with for the long game. Moving towards your fear actually can help you shift, and that's why I've called the podcast Shift to Strong, because I've really experienced with moving towards my fear and trying to take on challenges that really scare me. Each time I do it and each time I succeed, I find that there's a little bit of a shift, and I just become a little bit more confident and see things a little bit differently in the world. So in terms of your mental growth as well, it can be really interesting to do that. So I really hope what I have shared with you today was useful. Please like, follow, share to anyone that you think may benefit from hearing this podcast. And if you have a question, please pop it in the comments. I would love to answer your question. Hope you have a brilliant rest of your day, and see you soon on the Shift to Strong podcast. Thank you for listening.